Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to this week's Paddle Monster newsletter. Um, I haven't been making videos or creating any content for the last few weeks. I apologize for that. Obviously, one week that was because I was in Sarasota for the ICF Worlds. But while I was there, I had a loss in the family. My mother passed away, and so since I've come back. Things have been pretty busy, pretty hectic. It's been a hard time for me emotionally, and there's been lots to do. So I really haven't had time to produce any content or videos. But I'd like to get back into that now and start moving forward and start creating, more content for you to encourage you to be the best paddlers you can and to hopefully drive you to our website and join us at Paddle Monster for to improve your paddling. So this week I would like to take a look at goal setting. It's appropriate because we've finished the 2024 season and we're preparing for 2025. And so obviously when you start a season, you need to think about what you want to accomplish in the coming season and set some goals. And so I'd like to break this discussion down into two parts. This week, I'd like to talk to you about assessing the year that you've just completed. So taking a look at your 2024 season and asking some questions of yourself, reflecting on how you think you did. And so obviously, you start by looking at your performances. And I don't suggest that you only look at race performances. I suggest you also look at your performance in training. There are workouts that you often repeat. We call them marker workouts that you can gauge your performance in from each time that you do it. So you look at your training data. You look at your race results. You don't just look at the placing that you got in a race, whether you won or came second or made the podium or came fifth or 10th or whatever. But you look at your performance. You look at the time that you did for a particular distance. So the pace that you were able to sustain. And then you even look at how you performed in that race to get that time or to do that pace. So you take a look at your start. Are you really strong at the start, but do you fade in the later stages of the race? Or are you weak on the start and therefore you let the top group get away from you, but then you actually are quite strong for the rest of the race? You take a look at these things and you can draw conclusions about your fitness based on what these these things are telling you, and this is information that you're going to use when you start setting your goals for the coming season. You also need to look at your skills. Are there skills that are holding you back in terms of your performance? For example, do you lack the ability to ride wash really well, to draft really well? And if you do, then I think that's a huge area for improvement in distance racing. Do you struggle with beach starts? Do you struggle with turns? Maybe just even turns to the left or to the right. Maybe you're good on one side, weak on the other. These are things that you need to ask yourself. And, you should answer these questions honestly. Don't be, too easy on yourself. And, if there's an area where you're weak in, admit it and recognize that it's a weakness because that's an area to improve. But if there's an area that you identify as being weak, and don't be too hard on yourself either, because every weakness is possible to improve if you have a positive attitude about it and have the confidence to devise a plan to actually improve that weakness. So these are the types of things you should be doing now if you haven't done them already, in reflecting on the year that you've just completed, so that you can then use these reflections and the conclusions that you've drawn on the year that you've just completed to plan ahead for the coming season, to set some really good goals. And we'll talk about, that goal, how to set, effective goals next week, and obviously to develop a plan to meet those goals. So, I don't really want to get into it in any greater detail. It's fairly straightforward. It's looking at all of the performances you did this year, looking beyond the place result, but looking at the time result, the pace that you're able to sustain, looking at your fitness, your physical strengths and weaknesses, how they might affect the pace that you're able to sustain, looking at your skills, looking at all of these things, because they all can come into play in improving performance. And identify what you've done well, what needs work, and all of this information is going to help you create goals that are more specific, and more achievable, more realistic, when it comes time to setting goals. And it's going to help you develop a plan that's going to help you achieve those goals. And we'll talk about that in next week's video. So, that's it for this week. If you are struggling with this process, reach out and talk to somebody who might be more experienced than you, whether it's a competitor that you know, somebody you train with perhaps with more experience than you. They'll be able to help you with this process. Reach out to a coach that you may know, and ask them to help you with this process. And if you're still struggling with that, or you don't have those types of resources to reach out to, you can always reach out to us at Paddle Monster, because this is the type of thing that we do, right? As coaches, we help athletes through these things. So it's really useful to talk to somebody who has a little bit of experience in looking at assessing a year's performance and drawing appropriate conclusions from it, and then using them to set goals for the coming year. All right. So I look forward to talking to you next week about setting goals for the coming season. I hope everyone's doing well, and it's nice to be back talking to you on video. All the best.